Hiya and welcome back to the Smallholding. So I've taken the decision, I've mentioned it a few times in my previous videos about firewood and trees. I'm losing a lot of my ash trees. They've all got ash dieback, pretty much all of them have got ash dieback, and I'm coppicing through all the trees that I've put in many years ago, and I'm getting a year or two's regrowth, and then they're just, the dieback is kicking in, and all the little stems, you can just see where they're going pale and starting to die back, and over the next 2 or 3 years they just slowly die off. So I've taken the decision to start replacing them. As you probably know if you've watched my videos, I do grow silver birch from seed. It's quite simple to do, so I'll be doing some more of that as we get more into spring. We're only mid-January now. I've also sown some sycamore seeds to see how they come on. I haven't done sycamore from seed before, so a bit of an unknown thing for me whether they're going to work or not. But I've just kind of taken the decision to invest in some more trees. So I've ordered 250 sycamores, 60 to 90 centimetre. They came through yesterday. I brought them down here to keep them cool, and I'm going to get them healed in this morning, and then I'm going to start planting some. So I'm actually really happy. I've never ordered from this company before. It's a company called King Co, King CO on the end, King Co. And they're 60 to 90 centimetre trees. Sometimes when you order bare root trees, they'll give you a size and they'll always send the smallest ones. With these, obviously, you take the roots into account. I would think some of them are 4 foot or more. So I'm actually really happy with that. They're up to probably 120, not 90, some of them. So and they're really good, thick as my thumb, some of the stems. So they're really good big trees. In all honesty, you don't really want to put them in any bigger than that, because I think the bigger the tree, the slower it takes to sort of get going. A slightly smaller tree will kind of fly away in the spring because there's not too much leaf for the small root system to support. So these are about on the limit of the size I would like to plant as bare root in any number, because obviously if we get a heat wave again, I'm going to have to water everything again. Slightly smaller trees sometimes tend to cope a bit better. Like I say, just less transpiration of the leaves. There's not such a big tree to support. But anyway, I'm very happy with them. I've got to get them all out of the packaging. They have got nice damp roots, but I'm going to get them healed in, and just to keep the roots moist, because it's going to take me a few days to get them all planted. So basically, when you're healing in bare root trees and you want to get this done as soon as they get delivered, really. Like I say, they came yesterday. By the time I got back from work, it was getting dark, so it was too late. So the roots are fairly moist, so they should be fine. Basically, I'll just put 1 or 2 bundles in each hole. I think they're in bundles of 10, it looks like. And I'll leave them tied together in bundles and just get them down into the hole. It's about a spade's depth, the hole, and then just throw soil up around them. The soil is a little bit frozen on top. The top's sort of 1/2 inch. We've had some freezing temperatures again, so I'm just sort of breaking it up and then just backfilling and making sure that all the roots are completely covered with soil, and this just keeps them moist and stops any sort of drying out, which will, if they dry out more than just the odd little root round the side, it will kill the tree. So this is actually a really important thing to do. If you've ordered more bare roots than you can plant in a day, then you really want to get them healed in. It's the first thing you want to do. So just like that, really, right up the stem. I actually go up higher than the roots just to make sure, that they don't dry out, and then they can basically stay here. And as I plant them, I'll just come and grab a bundle of 10, pull them out, push the earth back up any that are left there, and I'll just leave them here until they're all planted. I'm going to start planting them today. I'm working tomorrow, then I've got 4 days off, so I'm going to hopefully get them all in between Friday and Monday. So I am going to guard all these. I did buy a pack of 250 guards, just the spiral rabbit guards. I have found I get muntjac, and I sometimes get fallow deer in here. Now they will occasionally take the tips out of the sycamore, but they tend to prefer the ash and the hazel than they do to the sycamore for some reason. So obviously I may get some deer damage here and there, but in general I'm prepared to put up with a little bit of damage for the sake of saving money. The little spiral guards, I bought 250 off of Amazon. It was the cheapest place I could find them. They're made from recycled plastic, so they have got little specks, and they look a bit cheap and nasty, but they'll do the job. I think it was £65 for 250 guards. The trees, actually, just to give you the price, so I ordered them from a company called Kinko, 250 60 to 90 centimetre bare root sycamores, and I think it was £243, so less than £1 a tree. Again, the cheapest place I could find. I always like to let you know, because I do my research. For that size of tree, it was the cheapest I could find. So yeah, all in all, I'm pretty happy. I'm going to get these all in, and then I'm going to start planting. I'm going to use my auger again, because they've got a fair root system on the trees. I'll get the auger in, and I'll kind of give it a bit of a circle round just to make the hole a bit bigger. And what I'll do is I'll just go out and I'll drill 50 holes, come back, get 50 trees, 50 guards, and go out and sort of do 50, maybe 25 or something, or because they're in bundles of 10, maybe 20 at a time, but whatever. I'll go and drill the holes, then take the trees and the guards and put them in. Now I'm hoping I haven't got to use canes. I have got canes should I need them, but because the trees are quite a good size, if I get them in nice and I firm them in well, I don't think they're going to need a cane. So I'm kind of hoping I can save a bit of money, because 250 canes, probably about 30 or 40 quid. So I'm hoping I don't have to use my canes. If I do, I do, but I'll see how they go in, see how they feel. But yeah, so this is a project for the next week really, and I'm going to go and get started in a minute after I got these all in. So that's all the trees healed in, apart from these 20 here, which I'm going to go out and plant now. Like I say, I think it's really important to do this. You can leave the trees in the bags that they come in if the roots are moist, as long as you keep them cool. A shed, a garage, something like that. One of my outbuildings down here, they'll do for a while, but I think if you're going to leave them any longer than a few days, you risk the roots drying out. So it just keeps the moist soil around them. Obviously, if it's too dry, I'll give them a bit of a water just to keep everything damp, but the soil is nice and damp at the moment. But just to show you, these are the guards that I've ordered. So they just come in a big box of 250. There's 5 in a roll, I think. I don't know if you'll make it out, if you can see that, but they are recycled plastic. So there is sort of like little specks, black specks and white specks on there. So they do look a little bit ropey, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's important to recycle plastics. So I went for them. They were the cheapest ones. They'll do the job. They say they last at least 3 years. I haven't bought these for quite a crikey. Last time I bought any twisty guards was probably 8 or 10 years ago. I think they were about 10p each. So like I say, these were £65 for 250, 250. They seem a little bit thinner than perhaps they used to be, but I'm sure they'll last. I mean, the old type ones, crikey, I've still got some on trees now that I planted 10 years ago. So I mean, as long as I get 3 or 4 years out of these, then the trees will be established enough to kind of go away on their own. But anyway, I've got the auger out. We're all ready to go. The ground is a little bit frozen, like I say, the top inch. But as long as it's no more than that, then I'm going to crack on and plant a few. I'll drill a few holes and see how it is. As long as it's not too frozen, I'll crack on with the planting. You don't want to plant if the soil is frozen to any depth, because you won't be able to pack the soil nice and tight around the roots. So I think it is quite important to make sure it's not too frozen. But like I said, it's just a little crust, about ½ inch on the top at the moment. So I might actually go up the top of the field where the sun's been on it a bit, because it's quite bright today, and it may well have melted it a bit up there. So we're going to have a look now. So the idea of these trees is to start infilling where I'm losing my ash trees. So obviously I'm not going to plant in anywhere that is too far back under these bigger trees that I haven't coppiced yet, because when the summer comes and everything's in leaf, they're not going to get any light and they'll just die. So I won't be probably coming through to coppice these for probably another 2 or 3 years. So hopefully when that time comes, I'll have enough trees that I've grown from seed to just infill, and I shouldn't have to have the expense of buying a big load. But what I will do is round the edge, so the sun is always up here. So on the edge here, this is fine, this gets the sun and they'll grow away nicely. But as you can see, these ash trees are just completely dead. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9 in here that are just completely dead. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come through here and perhaps put 8 or 10 just through this corner here. And I'm just going to basically go around the holding and just put them in wherever there's a gap, and they can get sun. So in any of the areas where I've already coppiced in the last couple of years, where the coppice isn't any higher than say 5 or 6 feet, then they'll get enough light, provided I don't plant them directly behind a coppice stall. So I'm just going to be sensible about it and obviously put them in places where they'll get the sun, because they'll be a little bit slower to get established than the things that are already in the ground. So yeah, this is a plan, just to kind of start infilling and fill all the gaps, because I just figure if I only do 50 a year or something, I'm just losing years of growing. So that's why I bought this big batch of 250, because it will pretty much fill, I should think, most of the gaps I've got at the moment. So I'm going to crack on and drill some holes. The ground doesn't seem too frozen up here. It's pretty much melted, so we should be able to drill them just fine, hopefully. That's a few holes drilled. Definitely way easier than using a spade up here. I will hit the odd root. I got caught on a big root just there. If it gets stuck under it, it's got no reverse. So all I do is put the clutch lock on and just walk it round anti-clockwise and kind of untwist it off the root. Seems to work okay. It's still a bit of work using that, because you're having to hold it because it still twists and hits into your hip a bit. But it's definitely easier than jarring your wrists and your elbows with a spade. So yeah, what I am doing now, I'm putting them fairly close together. So I'm looking at really probably a tree every sort of 6 or 7 feet. I mean, okay, these two are probably about 5.5 feet apart. But what I have found, when I first started doing my coppice planting, I'd plant up to sort of 8 or 10 feet apart, and it just doesn't keep the weeds down. You get lots of grass regrowth. Obviously this was all a meadow before, so I'm putting them a little bit closer together, and because I'm not letting them get full size, I'll coppice them when they're about this big. I mean, if you look at this sycamore here, so this was coppiced, I think this is probably about 8 years regrowth, from what I remember, and that is probably 20 foot tall. So if I'm planting them fairly close together, if I get everything coppiced at the same time, eventually when they're all in the same cycle, then they'll just grow up together nice and tight, and they'll completely crowd out all the weeds and grass below. So that just saves me any job of having to try and keep things down underneath. But anyway, let's go and get these planted now. So what you can do, if you get some really thick roots that are sticking right out, see they're like this wide, you can snip the roots just a little bit. You don't want to take too many of these sort of fibrous things off, but you can snip the roots. In fact, bare root trees will often come with the tap roots cut back, just to make it smaller to post, and most of these trees have already been snipped. This one hasn't actually, but a lot of the ones with big tap roots have already been snipped, so it doesn't hurt a tree to just take a few inches off, so that it's easier to get it in your hole. You can do that. So these holes are nice sort of size. Give it a real good firming with my fists. And then twisty guards just click on and wrap round. Now sometimes I must admit what I do is little bits like this, I'll snip them off with a pair of secateurs right low down. I'm probably not going to bother this time, I'm just going to get the guards on. Make sure the guards go down into the mud just a little bit, and that should protect it from the rabbits. Make sure your roots are all facing downwards. You don't want any, as you push it in, coming up, back up and out the hole. So just make sure they're all pushed down, and then fill in a bit of soil, push them down again. There we go, easy as that. So just to give you an idea of the sort of size I'm hoping to get from these trees eventually. So this sycamore that I showed you just a minute ago, there's actually two that I planted, and they were the first two sycamores that I ever planted. I found them as seedlings when I was weeding a border on a job, and I just popped them in either side of the track, so they were the first ones that I ever planted. And so I've had the holding set, this is the 18th year, so they were probably in about 10 years before I cut them the first time, and it was a single stem about this sort of size, and that was the first cut. So they've had, it's about eight or 9 years now, and you're looking, you know, at chest height. I can only just get my hand around them like that. So I mean, and this one has got 4 stems. This one at the back here is only small, and the others are all about the same size, about that sort of round at chest height. So there's a good probably 4 or 5 days worth of logs in this tree. But I'll just show you the other one, which was planted exactly the same time. I found them growing together in a border, probably just from the same tree. I'll just pick the camera up and just show you this one over here. So this just goes to show the different ways that they can grow. So coppice planted exactly the same time, coppice at exactly the same time. So this one now, the other one was literally middle finger and thumb. I could put this in here now, and there's lots of room. So they're smaller logs, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stems. So basically twice as many stems. So it's a similar amount of wood, just different size of log. But you know, between just these 2 trees, I've probably got 10 days of logs. So really what I'm aiming for going forwards is just hoping to have probably 50, 60, up to 75 trees of this size every year to harvest. Obviously having the ash dieback has really knocked me back, because I did originally plant 1,000 ash trees. I used to be super busy with work. I used to work 6, sometimes 7 days a week, and those first 2 or 3 years I lost loads of them. They just got swamped with weeds. Some of them died in the summer. I've still probably got 400 or 500, but I lost at least half. And now with the dieback, it's just really screwed me over, to be honest. But like I say, I'll never give up, and I'm going to keep planting things and keep popping things in. I grow my own silver birch as well. Silver birch is a much quicker burning wood than sycamore. Sycamore is denser, but silver birch is very good for getting a hotter fire. It's very good for getting a fire started, and it's quite often what I use to slice up a nice straight grained log, slice them up as kindling as well if I run out of pallets for kindling. But it's nice to have a mix of wood. But yeah, sycamore definitely grows really well here. It likes the ground. I mean, it's a bit of a weed tree. I don't think you get many people purposely planting sycamore, to be honest, but I love it, to be honest, because it grows super quick, coppices really, really well. The rabbit definitely don't target it as much as they do the ash. They love the ash, but also what I found with young ash trees is, I assume it's mice or voles, if you get a very hard winter, especially a winter with any snow, they'll just ring bark the trees right at ground level. The mice or voles, whatever they are, will come along and just completely ring bark them, but they don't seem to do it with sycamore. So I think sycamore is definitely going to be one that I stick with a bit going forwards. It'd be interesting to see how my seeds come on next spring. You know, I'll obviously do a video update on that. But yeah, I'm going to get on and get these trees in over the next week and fill in all the gaps. And in the summer I will give you a bit of an update, see how they've done. But I'll have to get more mulched as well, so it's a bit of work going forwards, but nothing I can't do in my spare time anyway. But if you're enjoying the videos, guys, please remember to like and subscribe, and we will definitely see you next time. Take it easy.